Hey, what's up? My name is John Samuel, and I'm here with Marqui Johnson, who was one of the Ablr Works candidates. Hey, Marquis, how are you doing?
Hello, sir. Doing pretty good.
So, Marquis, can you kind of share a little bit about your background and who you are?
So I am originally from Florida. I spent some time in school studying math and became an actuarial analyst from there, but was diagnosed with RP as a child, and so I am visually impaired. Now, in my career as an actuarial analyst, things were going pretty good until my vision started to change so much that I needed to use a screen reader. And it got to the point where I wasn't sure if I could continue with that career. So I started looking for other options, a position where it wouldn't matter what my sight, how it changed, basically. And that's when I came across the ABLE program.
Now, you and I both can relate to having RP or retinitis pigmentosa. Can you share with folks a little bit about what RP and retinitis pigmentosa is and how it impacts your sight and how that translates into the workplace?
Sure. Now, what it was for me, I know it's kind of it's not the same for everyone, but I have never had sight at night, so I've always had night blindness. But during the day, I was able to participate in sports and in school just like a regular kid. And so for the longest, I really felt like that was how it was just going to be. And I would still be able to, be a normal person, quote unquote, during the day. But then at night, I would need some assistance. And once I got through college at the age of like 27, 28, that's when things started to change during the day for me as well. And it sort of just gradually continued down that path to the point where, well, now I'm actually using a cane. I've spent some time at the Career and Training Center to learn how to use the screen reader more efficiently. And so, yeah, that's pretty much where I am now.
As you were thinking about your career, I mean, you went to college, you went to grad school, and what was it that really drew you to the Ablr Works program and going down a digital accessibility career?
So I'm going to be honest with you. I just wanted to have a job and be secure in that job, no matter what my site did. And I didn't know what that would be. So I attended a career fair that was put on by the Council for the Blind here in North Carolina. And I just wanted to see who the employers were that were willing to give someone with a vision impairment a chance. Because I wasn't really confident that, if I showed up at a job interview, even though I have a master's degree in mathematics, I have 14, 15 years of experience in my job, that I would still be given a fair shake. So I wanted to see who those employers were that were giving them a fair shake. And at that career fair, someone said, if you're interested in technology, come see Abler. Now, on that day, actually, I spent so much time at the other tables that I didn't get a chance to talk to Abler, even though I really, really wanted to. That was due to transportation, right? So that's another thing that we have to deal with as someone who's visually impaired. My ride had come up too soon, and so I didn't have a chance to. But I was able to reach out to my counselor at DSB, the Services for the Blind, and she knew someone to contact. And I had a conversation with Shannon and Liv, and it was on from there. And I just wanted the opportunity to have a career, like I said, that where my vision impairment was actually an asset. And I wouldn't have to worry about my employer saying, oh, you can't see, so you can't do this job. And that's what brought me to the ABLE program.
And I can totally empathize with you, and I appreciate your vulnerability in sharing that because it's real, right? You talked
Yes,
about
yes.
having a master's in mathematics, again, and you're being humble here. It's not just a master's in mathematics, but it's a master's in applied mathematics from Cornell University, right? One of the top
Yes, it is.
universities in the world. And
Mhm.
to hear that the confidence and challenges that you was someone with 14, 15 years of work experience, advanced degrees, were having when you were looking at the workforce. Where did you belong? Where could you be set up for success? And that's real. And again, there are a lot of people like yourself and myself who have RP, and it impacts us not just immediately as kids, but later in our careers, right? Similar
Exactly,
to similar
exactly.
to you. I started losing my sight throughout my career, and it hit a point when I just can no longer see the screen and I had to use the screen reader. So, everything you're saying, I can totally empathize with. And so that's one of the main reasons why we are so passionate and wanted to launch Ablr Works. So what about Ablr Works? What is something that really stood out to you that really has made a big impact on who you are as an employee today, or in your career at this template?
The one thing I can definitely say is the support that I received. I was in the program. The instructors, even the people who we didn't work directly with, they took the time and made the effort to make sure that we were being supported so that we could show up and do what we needed to do to study for the exam, to participate in the internship fully. And to this day, it sort of kind of brings me to tears because, I was kind of concerned that once I left the AVA program that I wouldn't have that support. But you guys are always there. You're still there. So that is the biggest thing that I took away from the program. I mean, of course, there's all the technology, the skills. So I'm not a native screen reader user, and I didn't start to really try to learn it until maybe a handful of years ago.
Yeah.
And when I started this program, getting into the technicalities of the testing, and even just doing a call like this, like a Teams call, not knowing what to expect when you open up a Zoom window and how to navigate it, how to share your screen, how to raise your hand and participate in society basically, because
Yeah,
everything has gone virtual, right?
for sure.
I learned all those skills with the ABLE program.
Do you think about other folks following in your trail? What advice and guidance would you give to potential candidates who are at a crossroads in the career, not knowing what to do, and potentially considering the Ablr Works program?
Definitely consider the program, even if you don't think you want to be an accessibility analyst, because the skills that you learn, things like just how to use a screen reader, I mentioned that before, but now being able to navigate a shopping site, understanding the different regions of the page, how to go here and how to, if you encounter an issue, how to work around it. Those things are invaluable for someone who is visually impaired and uses a screen reader, because inevitably you will come across something that's not accessible. But learning the techniques and what should be there and how to navigate through it will keep you going. I can share with you that many of the skills that I have learned just from using my screen reader have helped me out in analysis, such as in Excel and
Hmm.
Word and Access. All of those things transfer. So please consider this program, if not to be an analyst, then just for knowing how to navigate. And of course, if you do want to be an analyst, the skills that you learn there are what's the word? Crucial, important, wonderful.
Yeah,
But the internship was really impactful. It has helped me to date in my current employment, just knowing the language of the testing world and all those things you can get from Abler.
I truly agree with you. I mean, I think that a lot of the skills in the program are transferable. And
Yes.
to be able to, it's one thing to be able to know how to use a screen reader, but then to put it into action and to see how you navigate through challenges. I love that because that's right. We
Yes.
have to be able to understand what is an actual issue versus maybe it's just me and my screen reader use issue.
Exactly. Yes.
And
Yes.
to be able to clearly communicate, even if you need to clearly communicate with your IT department or your HR department when you're in the workplace, it's easier to say, hey, this is the issue that I'm facing, and then you can figure it out. But at the same time, you understand how to navigate through it, which is a
Right.
fantastic skill. And
Yes.
so talking about where you are today, where are you today? What are you doing now?
So currently, I am a contractor for Verizon, and I am a web accessibility tester. That's my title.
That's awesome. And what are you doing there? How are you enjoying it?
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So what I'm doing here, so whenever I applied for the job and even got hired for the job, I wasn't sure if I would be on the consumer side, as in working on the website or things that face consumers, or on the employee side and working on things that the employees have to go through to get their jobs done.
Hmm.
And it turns out that I am on the employee side.
Oh, that's cool.
And it is amazing the system that they have to navigate whenever you call in, the system that they see and have to navigate through to answer your questions, to get your requests made is incredibly intricate. And it's so important that they have access to everything. And it is as seamless as possible because, hello, you're on the phone with them, you
Yeah.
know? And they're having to listen to that screen reader and navigate and listen to the person on the other end of the phone and be able to get the job done. And it's my job to make that easier for them. Let me tell you, that is really inspiring because it's the same thing that I would have liked someone to do for me at my other job, you know.
Yeah.
I probably could have stayed there if everything was accessible. So now, I'm getting to be the change, basically.
And this kind of leads to my next question. You talk about how awesome it is that you're on the employee side, making sure that the internal systems are accessible so that other individuals with disabilities are able to be employed. You're working on that. At the same time, you mentioned that you wish that was the case for your previous employer. So what advice and guidance would you give to employers when they're thinking about why they need to be accessible and what are the benefits of employing people with disabilities?
I think the statistic still stands that like 1 in 4 of people have a disability. So I'm sure anyone at any company, anywhere, knows someone who is disabled and knows someone who not only is disabled, but is fully capable of completing tasks and getting jobs done. And so I would suggest that you think about that. And if you can make a way for them to feel like they're productive members of society, I'm sure it would pay off for you twofold because they would also bring in a diverse clientele and making things accessible for them so that they can get that job done. It would add to your bottom line. And it might even help change some processes because some of the things that we come up with as solutions for people with disabilities also help those who don't, quote unquote, identify as a person with a disability. And it makes it easier for everyone in that case.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I would like you to consider. So something specific that has happened recently is there was an employee who had an issue with the color contrast on the screen. And that person was someone who identified as having a vision impairment. But it turns out there were a number of other people in the company who had the same issue,
Mm,
who didn't identify as the same. So by fixing that for that one person, it flooded through the company as improvement for everyone. So stories like that prove that you should give them an opportunity.
for sure. And then it reminds me of us saying that accessibility is necessary for a few, but useful for all. That embodies that story embodies that message. And so as we wrap up, Marquis, can you share with me what does National Disability Employment Awareness Month or NDEAM, what does it mean to you?
I can tell you that before I started the Ablr program and when I first began it, I was very nearsighted, pun intended,
Hmm.
thinking solely of my disability, me as a vision impaired person or blind person.
Hmm.
And whenever I matriculated through the program, I was enlightened and learned about all of these other things that people are living with and making the most of their lives with. And so having a month such as National Disability Awareness, it really expands the mind and being aware of of what people are going through really helps you put things in perspective and know that we're all in this together. If we help one, just like you just said, I can't remember exactly what you just said, but how if you help one, it'll help them all, basically. And I guess that's what the month would mean to me.
Awesome. And Marquis, thank you for everything you've been doing, what you bring and brought to the program. We're so grateful to have you as an alumnus of the program and keep on doing what you do. And we're so proud of you and can't wait to see where you go with your career and how you help others along the way.
Man, Mr. John, the feeling is totally mutual, if not a little lopsided on my side, because I really appreciate everything. There is so much more I could tell you, and I may do so in the future. But yes, thank you for everything, sir. You and your team, your wonderful team. Yes, sir.
No, it's a team. It's not me. It's the team. And but we're all part of one group and one family. So thank you for being part of
Yes,
that.
sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.